My name is Rick Smooth, and I'm here at the PPCW show. This is the Pro Wrestling Archives. I'm here with Rob Illuminati. How you doing, Rob?
It's good to be here, man. It's good to be here in your PA. We just had a successful title defense for myself and Ruckus and had a good time. We love coming here every year or so to PPCW, and it's good to meet you today, Rick Smooth. From Robbie Illuminati to Rick Smooth. That's a good name. That's a cool shirt.
Hey, man.
I'm a big Dr. Dre, The Chronic. My Uncle Teddy got that for me for Christmas 1992. And now that kind of gives my age away, but, you know, fuck it, I look good for my age. So what's going on with you, Rick?
Man, it's funny that you mentioned this shirt, man, because I know you were wearing a Compton hat earlier. I like the Sixers hat now, but tell me about it, man. Tell me about Gangster Rap, man. Tell me about what you want to talk about with Gangster Rap.
Gangster Rap. Yo, Gangster Rap changed and influenced my life on so many levels because I grew up in an area in South Philly where gangsters just in general were just it was the thing, you know? I mean, it's just a reality. It was the thing. I grew up around that. You had Rakim, even in Fada Leader. Rakim and Fada Leader had on the fedora and the three-piece suit and everything else. And he was a conscious rapper. So there was that influence right there. Which for me, I was Italian from South Philly, but I went to a school in Center City because I was in the gifted program. Obviously, my parents are really happy that I'm here pretend fighting with my education. But I went to a school that was multiracial. So for me, being Italian from South Philly, it was cool. They're like, oh, yo, there goes Robbie Spaghetti, Robbie Macaroni over there and shit. And I mean, my dad worked with NASA. He wasn't a fucking gangster, but it didn't matter. It held weight, a little clout. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing back then. It was like it all molded together so well back then, where it wasn't really just like, you know, a segregated thing with who listens to what. Everybody was listening to that shit back then.
Now music is it's very divisive now. It's not kind of like... It's funny, though, because my son plays youth football, and, like, the baby, Shug, came on, and, I mean, he goes to school out, like, it's like a town like this, man, where you look to the left and the right, and there's an ugly person both places. I mean, it's in the middle of nowhere, and all of a sudden, the baby, Shug, is playing, and you see little kids on the football field dancing to trap music. So, at the same time, there's that mainstream aspect as well.
Yeah. You know, I have to agree with some of the cats that have been saying that, like, it's really good to see that hip-hop has stayed around all these years. And we might not like the current state of it at certain times, but the fact that it's still going and going, not all music can say that. You know what I mean? Like,
no, I don't think it'll ever die. And, I mean, I think that the great thing about hip-hop is you can be anywhere to do it. I love electronic music. I love regular music. I went to Settlement Music School for 7 years. Again, my parents are really happy that I decided to come here and don the tights and fake fight with that education. But I went to Settlement Music School. I could play Farrell-Lease when I was like 6, 7 years old. And I appreciate all music, but hip-hop, we can do it right here. I don't need anything. The champ is here. I mean, that's you don't need anything.
Yeah, we might have to kick something for the Pro Wrestling Archives. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
Maybe another time. But anything you want to say about, you know, the influence of, like, let's say, like maybe the NWO or some of the other kinds of gangster rap stuff that was kind of utilized in pro wrestling?
Yeah, especially having like a gimmick that is very heavily based. Like, I remember Ruckus and I were lucky enough to work with Scott Steiner and Jeff Jarrett last year. Yeah, that guitar shot. Anyway, but I remember, you know, obviously, like, if you see us before a show, Ruckus and I, we're pretty lackadaisical. We enjoy the relaxed medicinal laws in Pennsylvania, Maryland, and you don't know what to make of us. And I remember Jeff Jarrett kind of asked me, he's like, well, what do you guys do? What are you guys? I'm not familiar with you. I said, well, you know how you have music and you have rap music? Well, you have wrestling, and then you have rap, and then you have gangster rap. We're gangster wrestlers.
Okay.
We're gangster wrestlers. So there's wrestlers, there's tag teams, and there's, oh God, here comes Blackout. Shut that fucking thing off, son. You know what I mean? That's that influence. You know,
and I'd say that I can see that influence in your work. Like, you know, I think of people like Scott Hall and stuff like that when I see you up there. And
yeah, I like to say too, people have asked us, like, Blackout, you guys like the NWO? I like to say that we're more like NWA.
Okay.
And I mean, Pac is like one of me and Ruckus's old heads, like a guy, not that he's much older than us in reality, but he's a dude. obviously is an elder statesman, a Hall of Famer, a guy that's a veteran and done everything from the time he was 19. That's like a Mike Tyson career, being 19 and being a top guy in WWF like he was. But he, NWO was a huge influence on us, obviously. But we don't want to, just like I love Trent Acid and I try to do a lot of stuff. He was one of my closest friends. But at the same time, I never want to walk out to his song because there's only one. There's only one NWO. So if anything, we want to be like wrestling's NWA. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because we can't touch those guys, you know?
Yeah. It's funny how all this stuff is evolving, just like Paul Heyman's saying, too, how it's like, in the wrestling world, it's like it's not cool to be biting stuff, Things get passed along and stuff like that, but it happens very naturally and evolving. It's not like trying to stand in somebody else's shoes, you know what I mean? Like,
right. I mean, and that's ultimately how things happen. Now the big word is like serendipitous. You hear that word used a lot in wrestling, kind of like how tremendous became like the popular word in wrestling like 15 years ago. Everybody was like, oh, tremendous. Wow. It's annoying, but serendipitous, everybody says now. And if you look at most of the things that have been, effective and have been, have had staying power in pro wrestling and entertainment in general, it's some form of serendipity. Ringo Starr wasn't the original drummer for the Beatles, but Pete Best had something else going on, and Ringo Starr stepped in, and here we are, and 50 years later, and they're literally the biggest band ever, and they weren't even meant to be those original four guys.
Shit happens.
Ruckus and I both had nothing going on in CZW, and we kind of were friends and like to hang out, and so why don't we do this? And here we are, and it's like 15 years later, and we're grateful because that's luckily. The thing with serendipity is if you're nice and you look out for people, it works out in your favor. If you're not, if you're a dick, then it's called karma. Yeah. So that's that's the thing about that.
Yeah, no doubt. And the greatest thing about this business is when you put other people over, that's what you're supposed to do, and it comes back in a good way. So I mean,
put guys over. Like, look over here. Like, these are dudes. These are guys that all worked on the show. And are, paying dues and putting the ring away. And that's something that's lost. That's something that's lost. And the reality is I should be helping them right now. I'm not going to. But, the reality is sometimes I would help. If my son was here, I would help. At least enough to let him know that he should help if he's here breaking into the business. So... but I mean, that's what this business is about. It's about putting over guys. It's about trying to make the business better and trying to put people on. Yeah. We're not just going to put anybody on, but it's about putting people on. South Philly's finest, those dudes right there. I mean, since this is just like a wrestling podcast, not insulting wrestling fans, we're wrestling them October 25th. I think it's October 26th, we're wrestling them for 1CW. And we're going to fucking kill it. Because those kids are like us. They work hard. Those guys are like us. They value, you see, they're the last to leave. And we got here, and they were one of the first teams here. So, that's what this business is about, too. It's about paying it forward. And again, for them, when something comes around for them, it'll be serendipity. It won't be karma. Yeah. It won't be karma. Yeah. And I love watching karma, what it does to people. So I'll pass the mic.
Yeah, I agree on that. Now, last question, all right? Yes. So, what do you think about what's been happening with Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff in WWE? I mean, it's obviously getting pretty interesting again.
Well, I'm like one of those delusional guys that thinks that if it was like the year 2000 and I was already seasoned, that I would have been in WCW or ECW. So, of course, I'm pulling for both of them. But because I love WCW. I love ECW. George Mayfield, shout out to George. Oh, man, yeah. George was here today, and I immediately went and got old school NWA, old school ECW from him. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because I think that, for me, that's one of my favorite eras. That being said, though, Vince is a Don. Vince is a Don. I like to say something about me and Ruckus that I stole from KRS-One. These other wrestlers are stars. We're the sun. When the sun's out, you don't see the stars. And that's Vince's level. Vince is a different solar system. Vince, he's the sun. So, ultimately, and he's also, literally and theoretically too, because he was the son. He's junior, Yeah. I mean, that's it. But having now Bischoff, having Paul Heyman, on your team, that's crucial. If for nothing else, you have a varying opinion. You have two guys that even if they're yes men, you know for a fact that these guys competed against you. So if Vince is really doing something where it would leave their company vulnerable, I'm sure both Heyman and Bischoff are going to be able to step in on any level.
Yeah.
And I think that is a great time to be a wrestler. If all this wasn't going on, I don't know if I'd still be doing this. But, you know, with all this going on, I think there might be a chance somewhere or some way for what Ruckus and I do to get out there for more people to enjoy or hate, as long as they watch it. You know, fuck it, right?
Yeah, I gotta say, since Heyman and Bischoff have come back, it's been an amazing transformation that's happening pretty smoothly with wrestling, and just being in the industry right now or being around it. It's been an amazing thing, and we just want to big ups everybody, and hopefully we can all keep this momentum going here. And Rob, thanks for doing this, man. I really appreciate all your knowledge, man.
It's my pleasure. Everybody out there that watches this, you get me on social media. It is at Blackout, BLKOUT 678. So find me on there. Find me on Facebook. If I suck, let me know. I want to know what I need to do. You fans know. I don't know what I'm doing out there. I need you guys to tell me how to do my job. So tell me, please. All right.
Thanks a lot, Rob.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate it.